Chicago, of course, is where Barack Obama spent his formative years. It's where he met Michelle. It's where his presidential library is going, and it's where there have been more murders since 2001 than American deaths in both the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq combined. Let that sink in. Now, the vast majority of these murder victims in Chicago have been young black men, and most of the shooters have been young black men as well. But will you hear that from Black Lives Matter? Apparently, the only Black Lives that matter to Black Lives Matter are those that are killed by police, which statistically occurs far, far, far less often than blacks killing blacks. Now, to put this in perspective, let's throw some statistics out here. So in 2015, 991 people in the entire country were shot and killed by police. That's according to the Washington Post. The Washington Post puts together this entire database that tracks this, that tracks police killings. So 991 people in 2015. Of those, 495 were white, 258 were black. So about twice as many whites were killed by police as blacks. Of course, there are a lot more whites in the United States than blacks, but nonetheless, those are the numbers. So 991 people in 2015 shot and killed by police. In Chicago alone that year, okay, there were 468 murders in 2015. And like I said, the vast majority of them were young black men. So almost twice as many black people were killed in Chicago in 2015 as blacks killed by police in the entire country. Okay, think about that. So 258 blacks were killed by police in the entire country in 2015. And in Chicago alone, that number was 468. Think about that. Just one city. Obama City, where he gave his farewell address. But of course, he's not going to mention that. Why would he? In 2016, so that was 2015. These numbers are slightly updated, but they're still compiling them, so we do not have as specific information as we do for 2015, but we still got some pretty good information here. So in 2016, again, this is the Washington Post database. 963 people were shot and killed by the police in the entire country, while 762 people were killed in Chicago alone. That's insane. That's over 2 a day murdered in Chicago. Is Obama entirely to blame for this? Of course not. Of course not. He's not the mayor of Chicago. But you know who is? It's his buddy and former chief of staff, Rahm Emanuel. All right, and the Democrats have ruled that city for decades. In fact, if you wanted to find a time when Chicago did not have a Democrat mayor, you'd have to go all the way back to 1931. 1931 was the last time there was a Republican mayor of Chicago. So Obama is not solely responsible for the insanely high murder rate in Chicago, but he and Rahm Emanuel support the same policies pertaining to gun control and law enforcement that have made Chicago a more dangerous place for blacks than Iraq or Afghanistan is for U.S. soldiers. Think about that. Chicago is a more dangerous place for blacks than Iraq or Afghanistan is for U.S. soldiers. Let that sink in.